The President of the Republic of Cameroon puts an end to accumulation of functions at the hydrocarbon prices stabilization company and drops Elung Paul Chair as director of the company. OK Johnson from the Southwest region is the new director of the said company. The announcement was made just a few minutes ago, and a club of political journalists banned from holding a meeting in the nation's capital. In this newscast, we tell you why, plus 2 suspected gendarme killers apprehended in Kumba of the Southwest region of the country. Those are headlines. Stay with us for the details. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome you back from the weekend. You are watching the primetime newscast on EQuiNOXE television. Let's begin right away in the nation's capital. As we announced a few seconds ago, a club of political journalists in Cameroon were today banned from holding a meeting with the CDU Member of Parliament, Honorable Tomaino Ndamjoya. Before it was 10 a.m. this morning, some CPDM MPs stormed the hotel, the deputy, which was supposed to host the meeting, insisting that it must not take place. The CPDM MP said that Honorable Tomaino Ndamjoya must apologize for the act that she put up Friday at the National Assembly, which left another CPDM MP, that is Honorable Richard Wallang, wounded. Security forces intervened and the meeting was simply disrupted. We can see how tense the atmosphere at Hotel the Deputy was this morning in the nation's capital. Can we call it an end to part tussle between the Director General of the Hydrocarbons Prices Stabilization Company and his assistant, Elung Paul Chair and Emmanuel Aleng, have so far been relieved of their duties as a Director and Assistant Director of CSPH, as it is called in its French acronym respectively. It is contained in a presidential decree that was made public today. Elung Paul Chair was not only involved in part tussle, he was occupying 2 key posts as he remained Minister Delegate at the Finance Ministry after his appointment as CSPH since the 30th of April 2013. OK Johnson Doe from the Southwest region of Cameroon is the new director of the Hydrocarbons Prices Stabilization Company. He is going to be assisted by Manzua Veronique. We, of course, will be coming back to that in our subsequent newscast. Now, the President of the Republic is going to be joining other world leaders tomorrow to take part in the summit on climate change that is in Paris, dubbed One Planet Summit. The presidential couple left Cameroon that was few this morning, and we have information that they have already arrived Paris, France, where the summit is going to be taking place. Back here to the country, as we announce, security and defense forces in the southwest regions of Cameroon are now on high alert following recurrent attacks, during which some of them were killed in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The last attack wounded at least 4 gendarme officers. That was last weekend, and some suspects have so far been arrested. That was in Kumba this weekend. Let's have the details with Babla Jonathan.
2 alleged suspected attackers of security and defense forces in the southwest region of Cameroon in the dragnet of the National Gendarmerie. They were intercepted prior to a planned attack on a gendarmerie security post in Banga Bakundu.
They confessed that they wanted to kill those gendarmes, and they have about 6 phones and all those things.
The 2 suspects, one from the northwest region and the other from the southwest region, were equally in possession of a locally made gun.
They told that they have got the gun from Honda in the village.
They will be tried by military court judges. In the past days, several gendarmes, military and police officers have been killed in the Manyu and Meme divisions by those referred to as cessation terrorists. The last attack on security and defense forces Saturday night, breaking Sunday along the Kumba-Tombel road, left at least 4 gendarme officers injured, 3 of them severely wounded. The attackers are said to have used Kalashnikov guns.
On to something else. Human rights advocate and renowned writer Patrice Nganang, who was arrested on the 6th of December 2017 at the Douala airport, was expected to appear before the prosecutor today in Yaoundé. He was last weekend subjected to hours of questioning at the judicial police in Yaoundé. It should be noted that he is currently being detained at the police department in the nation's capital, according to the communication minister Issa Shoma Bakari, who granted a press conference last week. Patrice Nganang is accused of threatening the life of the head of state after he wrote on his Facebook page on the 3rd of December that he would kill the president if he had a gun. Patrice Nganang, who has been very critical on government's manners of addressing the current socio-political tension rocking the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, had earlier told a Continental magazine that the Anglophone crisis would be over if the head of state resigns. The international organizations, writers, university lecturers, students, opposition parties, NGOs and relatives in Cameroon have endorsed a petition demanding for his immediate and unconditional release. More than 5,000 people have signed the petition. The question that remains is, who is Patrice Nganang? He's not only a civil society activist, he's a poet, a professor, and an award winner. Let's have the details on his profile with Innocent Aze.
Patrice Nganang is a Cameroonian-American academic and columnist currently being detained in the nation's political capital Yaoundé on accusation of offending the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, with a death threat he posted on his Facebook page. The civil society activist, writer, poet and teacher, who has been in Cameroon for a couple of months working on the Anglophone crisis, was arrested at the Douala International Airport December 6. His arrest came a day after he published a critical column in the France-based news magazine Jeune Afrique that criticized Paul Biya's handling of the unrest in the Cameroon's two Anglophone regions. Patrice Nganang is a professor at the United States Stony Brook University and contributing columnist for Jeune Afrique. Born in Yaoundé, Cameroon in 1970, Patrice Nganang gained education in Cameroon and Germany. He was awarded a PhD in comparative literature at the Johann Wolfgang Goethe University. Between 2006 and 2007, he served as the Randolph Distinguished Visiting Associate Professor of German Studies at Vassar College. He was an instructor at the Shippensburg University until 2007. Patrice Nganang currently serves as Associate Professor of Comparative Literature at Stony Brook University and founder of Tribunal Article 53. Writer of so many books, his 1999 novel, Tang de Cheng, projected him as winner of the Prix Littéraire Marguerite Yourcenar in 2001 and the Grand Prix Littéraire d'Afrique Noire in 2002. Some books published by Patrice Nganang include Mount Pleasant, The Woman Next Door, LOB, German Colonialism Revisited, La Promesse des Fleurs, L'invention du beau regard, Dernière nouvelle du colonialisme, among others. Meantime, his detention in Yaoundé has been described by human rights organization REDAC and other international organizations as outrageous, demanding his immediate and unconditional release and allowed him to proceed with his travel to Harare, Zimbabwe.
And we shall be looking at the legal implications of his arrest. That's going to be in the second part of this newscast. Now, for the first time in a public event in Buea, the Southwest Regional Headquarters, the administration observes a minute of silence in honor of civilians that have so far died since the Anglophone crisis escalated. It was during the launching of the Southwest Cultural Festival, which took place in the presence of Derek Jato. Today was the third day of the said cultural festival. His report.
Catchy enough for the Cameroon Minister of Culture to personally capture some moment has gone a long way to testify the colorful nature of the 2017 Southwest Cultural Festival taking place here in Buea. The various divisions and tribes from the Southwest region and beyond all came with what identifies them, top among their cultural dance groups and traditional dishes. Before his address, Senator Fon B.E. Mukete reminded all that the Southwest region is in tears.
A minute of silence in memory of the active forces of law and orders recently murdered by assailants in the Southwest region, and to all civilians who have lost their lives due to the crisis. May their souls rest in perfect peace.
Critics have saluted this step, saying that this is the first time the government at least has given a moment of silence for the civilians that lost their lives during the Anglophone crisis. While appreciating the mature organization of this year's festival, Minister Narcis Mwele Kombi called for peace.
Without peace, without security, you cannot build cultural and artistic development. That is very important in the current political situation.
And challenge the traditional rulers of the Southwest region to champion the mission in their various chiefdoms. A message well embraced by the concerned.
The cultural festival lies on our hands because culture, we the chiefs we are representing. And we are going to do our best to go back to our various communities. Serious sensitization exercise must be carried, reminding the people of our culture and reminding them that we owe a duty to celebrate the Buddhist culture before us.
Several parts of Edea in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the littoral region of Cameroon are without roads and electricity. The City Council Hall is also very dilapidated. These are some of the challenges that the Edea City Council has vowed to tackle come 2018 as it was reviewed during a council session which took place recently. Catherine Kone tells us more in this report.
The construction and completion of a new City Council Hall is the top priority project to be realized in 2018. This was reviewed during the budgetary session of the Council of Edea in the Senegal Maritime Division. The Council voted and adopted 2,171,466,976 francs CFA.
Le compte se doter d'un nouvel hôtel de ville dont le montant est estimé à 600 millions de francs.
According to the SDU, 600 million francs out of the budget voted will be used to construct a new council hall.
En dehors de cela, la communauté va continuer dans ses activités, des ordures ménagères, les routes.
He equally sees other projects like the maintenance of road, electricity, hygiene and sanitation of Edea must be realized in 2018. During the budgetary session, it was said that the socio-economic and political unrest in the country has made business operators reluctant to pay taxes. The SDO urged the councillors to work in teams so as to achieve the goal of revenue collection in order for the 2018 budget to be realized. He added that the council management should be able to strategize on ways of broadening the revenue base. However, the councillors have pledged to make sure they brave all odds, see into it that council activities do not remain stagnant come 2018.
Several football lovers, Cameroonians in general, are still to come to terms with the death of football striker Benjamin Roger Massing, who died yesterday, a day before he was supposed to be guest on a renowned Sunday program on EQuiNOXE television called Dimanche avec vous. In the following report, EQuiNOXE is going to be giving a brief account of the footballer, his career till his death. His report.
Benjamin Roger Massing, born on the 20th of June 1962, was a Cameroonian footballer who played as a central defender. Massing played professionally for, among others, France-US Cretel Lusitanos before being picked up for Cameroon's national team for the 1990 FIFA World Cup, where he was sent off the pitch in the opening game for a foul on Argentina's Claudio Canigia in a 1-0 shock win. Massing also appeared in the quarter-final loss to England, 2-3, where he was booked, conceding a penalty for committing a foul on Gary Lineker. Previously, in the match against Argentina, he received another warning after bringing down Diego Maradona. Massing earned 21 international caps and also took part in 3 African Cup of Nations, including the 1992 edition. The former soccer star kicked the bucket in the early hours of Sunday, December 9, 2017, in Edea in the Senegal Maritime Division of Cameroon at the age of 55. According to her sister Monique, they were waiting for him that morning to have a brief meeting. After waiting to no avail, one of the relatives went knocking at his door for long but no response. They were obliged to force open the door. What they saw was a lifeless body. Roger Massing was to be part of a Sunday program on EQuiNOXE television, Dimanche avec vous, as guest. His death was not only a big blow to the family, but as well to the presenter of the program, who was left in shock.
And that brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Points. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. His arrest on the 6th of December has sparked a national and international outcry. Opposition parties, human rights groups, NGOs, and international community in general have been multiplying calls for the unconditional release of renowned writer Patrice Ngana, who was arrested earlier this month of December. Our guest tonight is a legal mind, Senior Barrister Fujon. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point, Barrister.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, tonight we are going to be talking about the arrest of Patrice Ngana, the renowned writer that has sparked a national and especially international outcry. Many people are calling for his release. He was picked up at the airport on the 6th of December. You are, of course, aware of how he was arrested. It was about traveling to Zimbabwe. Was the legal procedure respected during his arrest, Barrister?
Well, I got to know that he was arrested while already sitting in the plane. The question is whether he was still in Cameroonian territory. That is for the criminal lawyers to decipher. But if from my observation, I think that you will need a warrant to arrest a man who is already sitting in the plane, ready to take off to another country. You will also need a warrant to arrest anybody. But what happened was that no warrant was served on him. He has checked in, he did everything, and was sitting in the plane, and the plane was about to take off when plainclothes men came and took him and wrestled him off. And where did they take him to? They didn't take him to any structure known to anybody. They kept him for more than 2 days incognito. No lawyer, no family, nobody. on the Anglophone crisis. He came for research and spent time studying what was going on here. And he wrote an article in Jeune Afrique. And it was when he was leaving the country, I mean, he must have written something on his Facebook page, but what he wrote on his Facebook page is subject to interpretation. If it's a poet, do you take what a poet writes as a poet literally, or you interpret? I would say you interpret what
to you, the government of Cameroon was not supposed to take it that far.
It was
supposed to analyze.
And given the volatile situation of the Cameroon now, you are taking it that far and arresting an American citizen who is well known, who is a university professor, whose students are now agitating in the United States, and putting Cameroon again on the limelight of negative publicity. I don't know whether if you square that with what the purported crime that he committed, I don't know whether
talking about the reaction of students, lecturers have as well reacted. Writers, we can see mobilization, thousands of people signing petitions calling for his immediate release. What is your perception of the level of mobilization that we see on the international scene?
The level of mobilization speaks about the personality that has been touched. A man who is a poet is everybody who has been arrested goes out with him. You know, he is going to change the dynamics of the arrest of people in this country. He is not, from what I've read and heard about him, he is not about to be released alone without knowing what is happening with the others, because he's a human rights activist. He has been a human rights activist almost all his life. He's a prolific writer. He is a scholar, a teacher, and you can name it. He's a well-renowned author. And for us, for Cameroon to lay their hands on him, I don't know whether they knew the reaction that was going to come.
And the implications.
And the implication of the arrest.
Happening in the two English-speaking regions, especially in the southwest, we see the area is still heavily militarized with security forces on the ground. We saw how officials were actually launching the Southwest Cultural Festival, calling for peace to reign in the region, but calling for peace and at the same time militarizing the region. Should that be a solution?
I don't know whether calling for peace has any effect, because this is a part of the country that had a city.
In this edition of the news, wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.